The following is a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
Let's go, baby!
Are you ready for a break?
Yes.
Are you ready for a break?
Absolutely.
Ready for a break?
Yeah, and so much for that.
It's time for The Break on DallasCowboys.com.
We were on a break!
With Nick Eatman, David Hellman, Ambar Garcia, and Derek Eagleton.
Hello, guys. Welcome to another episode of Cowboys Break. Happy New Year to everyone. Happy New Year's to you guys.
Happy New Year.
Do you come up with some good New Year's resolution?
Nope.
Nothing?
Keep doing what I've been doing.
I don't like to think of it that way. Like, just.
You always have some kind of
It's
different
always
thinking.
different than the world.
Just, I mean, yeah, you're right. No,
What do you like to think of?
just like don't do it because it's the new year. Just do it. Like, if you want to do it, just do it.
Did you go out on the 31st?
I sure did.
I mean, more than usual? I mean, don't just do it because it's the new year. I mean, just do it.
I didn't do it any harder than I normally do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I went. Yeah.
Hey, Shannon.
Yeah.
I
No.
don't know.
Okay.
What about
All
you?
right.
Did you have fun?
Yes.
Good.
Not in a good way, though.
All right.
It sucked. But hey, I'm alive, and we're here, ready to talk about Cowboys football. They are in the playoffs. Everyone knows that. This weekend, they are hosting the Seattle Seahawks. But before we get into any of that, Blake Jarwin, he won NFC Offensive Player of the Week, and that's kind of, I mean, it's surprising in a way, not because of his performance last weekend. He got 3 touchdowns against the Giants, but surprising that the Cowboys have a tight end winning that for the first time ever. Now, I wanted to ask you guys, after seeing this performance and where we're at right now, does this change anything as far as tight end goes? As far as the position, did it come too late in the season, or is this something that came up right at the right time for you to kind of start changing your tune as far as the tight end future for the Cowboys?
Man, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I think at this point it's the best timing that you could possibly have, because you've been waiting. I think everybody's been waiting all season to see which, if any of these tight ends would step up and have not that kind of performance, because nobody predicted that, but have some kind of performance where you would start to think, okay, the tight end is actually a position where there's maybe some stability. You can maybe count on it in certain situations, particularly in the red zone, and where you can force defenses to respect the middle of the field where your tight end might be. And that's been something that's been sorely missing all season. So, yes, the timing was great, and it certainly changes my opinion about what I think of the tight end position and how it fits into this offense.
I don't think he should have won the award. I mean, I can tell you another player that was more deserving, and it was Dak.
Oh.
Dak should have won that award. Dak had a better game. And there's a reason why, in my opinion, that no tight end in Cowboys history has ever won that award, because it's not really – they're not doing anything out of the ordinary. They get open, make the play, make a catch, get up the field. He had one touchdown that was kind of a nice move, but for the most part, it was get the ball to your tight end when he's open. And I thought Dak, then what he did the rest of the game, I thought Dak had a better game. But I think it's really what I'm trying to say is I think it's on Dak for finding these guys, getting the ball to him, spreading around, find the open guy. Jarwin, good job getting open, making plays.
But that's half of it, though. That's half the battle, and that's something it's been a theme all year. Is Dak's accuracy hasn't always been great, but a lot of these guys aren't catching balls a lot of the times either. And this game stood out to me. Jarwin made those plays. Cole Beasley made those plays. Michael Gallup actually had a really nice one. Where it was not a well-thrown ball at all, but it's the NFL, right? And so I do think it matters to have a tight end holding up his end of the bargain. And you can go back. Actually, I thought about this. We were in a production meeting earlier today. Blake Jarwin, and it wasn't an easy play at all, but he bobbled a pass from Dak that turned into an Earl Thomas interception in this game in week 3. So I think it's a fitting indicator of how far he's come. I don't think he's going to do that again against Seattle, but it's one more threat. I think it does matter that the Seahawks have to respect the middle of the field if he's going to be playing that way. So very good timing. Yeah.
Now, as far as threat, that being one of them, and another piece that we've keep talking about, Tavon Austin, and when you start looking at the few things that he was able to do in the game against the Giants, and now moving on to this next week, are you guys expecting the Cowboys to really utilize him some way. And we keep trying to figure this whole thing out. But now it's at a time where, okay, now you really do need a guy like him on the field, whether it's to do something as far as actual plays or be a distraction for defenses. Based on what you saw last weekend, are you expecting the Cowboys to do anything different, get him more involved?
I wouldn't say necessarily different. I think what we saw last week is probably what I expect now. I think the results could be different. I think that I look at him and Cole Beasley very similarly. What I mean is I don't think what Cole did last weekend, I don't think Cole did that every week. I think this is one of those situations where one of those players you would hope in a given week kind of gets on a run a little bit and they're utilized a little bit more or have a little bit more success. But that's as much as I would expect.
Partying last night, huh?
Somebody like
yelling a lot last night. What was going on?
He had something to yell about.
I was good. I'm good, Nick. No, but seriously, I don't think that they necessarily will do more with him. It's just that in certain games he may have more of an impact than he's had in other games.
I thought that it was clear what they were trying to do was just put him on tape. Just do the things that he does. There was a little gadget play out of the backfield where he caught the ball and went 10 yards. What else does he do? He does reverses. They didn't give him the ball, but they did a fake to him. What else does he do? Go deep. They threw one deep to him. He didn't catch it. What else? Return punts. He was out there. I just think they wanted to put him out there, put him on tape. We'll see what happens. I think he does a little bit more, but they wanted to kind of say, don't forget about this guy with Seattle to kind of
get him on the radar.
Get him on the radar, which really, just like Jarwin, just like everyone else, it's really about whatever you got to do, take your eyes off 21. That's what we're trying to get you to do.
Here's a fun little tidbit, and I have to give credit to Todd Archer for this. There's a reason why I sit with him at practice every day. He's very, very good at what he does.
And moves people if they sit there.
True.
I saw that yesterday. It's
Yeah.
nice.
Oh,
It's like, get out of my seat.
Get out of my seat.
We sit there. We
moving them.
We got a routine. We're 18 weeks into this thing. It's not time to change
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. The routine looks like this is what it looks like. Routine looks like Todd checks off all the players to see if you're there. You look at Twitter and then you ask.
And then you collaborate.
That's not 100% true, but it's not 100% wrong.
Got it. Okay.
50-50. Okay.
Just because I'm holding my phone doesn't mean I'm not paying attention.
I know.
No, absolutely.
Tavon tidbit.
Tavon was full all last week, and he's limited now. Something came up either during the game or at practice yesterday, but so he's clearly bothered by something, or else he probably wouldn't. Even if he'd be listed, he would have been full. But they downgraded him. Of course, he's a veteran. Maybe that's part of it, being cautious with him. I don't know, but it's something to watch, and that's it gives me not a lot of confidence that he's going to have some big impact in this game,
Or even be active.
So that's the thing. We look and see what he is today. Is he still limited, or has he moved back to full? Because if he's now limited, then it's one of those things where, okay, we were working him back off a game. It was a short week, as you said, Nick, yesterday when we were out of practice. You look at that, and it really was, these guys are back out there practicing full like it's a Wednesday when really it's a Tuesday. So they're 2 days off a game, and most of those guys played. So maybe it's a situation where
It absolutely
coming off
could
the
be.
injury, let's just limit his time. So we'll see what he does today. But you're right. If it's limited again today, eyebrows should definitely raise, I would think.
And the other thing, I'm not giving away secrets because they did it in front of the media. Well, I've gotten in trouble for that before, but
Think this
I
through.
shouldn't laugh that hard, but that just caught me by surprise.
Let me say something else first, and then, then you think about whether or not you want to finish that.
Yeah,
I don't
good
know.
point.
But Jason did say yesterday in his press conference or afterwards about how he was real adamant about special teams, about getting more guys out there, flying down the field. They got C.J. Goodwin now. He wants to see that. It's a point of emphasis. Lance Lenoir was a guy that was doing that, and then he didn't play last week because a good one. He was inactive with Austin coming back. But they still need that to get that. They need more speed. They need more guys that can fly down the field and do that. So I'm wondering if they decide not to play Tavon, is it because they want a little bit more special teams help from that standpoint?
But it's the flip side to that too, because they're wanting Tavon to give them a little more juice there returning the ball.
Yeah.
So it's kind of give or take, right?
suffice to say that it's something to watch.
Okay.
And I don't have, it's disappointing for me. You can go back and find the shows. Like I had sky high optimism for what Tavon Austin could bring for this offense, so I would love to see him have some big role in this game. I kind of lean toward not thinking
They're going to face a player who you would love for Tavon Austin to have that role, Tyler Lockett. To have that role as a second or maybe third receiver. He's a punt returner. He can do things.
He can fly.
He can get by you.
I will say-
ask Kayvon Frazier. He can get by you. But
True.
But
Tyler Lockett is a far better pure receiver than Tavon, though. He's he's their leading receiver. He's a route runner. But
now their top guy's also been out. Their top guy's also been out for a good part of the year.
made the Rams draft him in the eighth overall pick? I mean, that's been a bust. Tavon has been a bust.
They saw the speed. And they just wanted the speed, right?
Yeah, but I mean,
What sucks is like before he got here or during that time that it happened, everyone was questioning, okay, can they find the role for him, which that has been the problem that teams have had with him as far as role. And then you listen to Linehan talk and how confident they sounded as far as, call him whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
He's a receiver, running back, whatever you want to call him. Just made it sound like they were confident that they were going to be able to really find a good role for him. And it's disappointing that we're here in the season. Half of it he's been injured, but the other half, you never really saw that happening from him.
Think about this. If we did a point counterpoint back in the summer, who will the Cowboys find a way to create a role for more? Tavon Austin or Rico Gathers? Which guy are they going to really find a role for? And who's going to have a bigger role? Because you can start off by saying it was Tavon, but I mean, they've made sure that Rico had a role.
Yeah. No, I would have said Tavon for sure.
Yeah, me too. But it's like, really? Like, they really haven't found the role for him. They love the tight ends. They love the tight end.
They haven't found a role at all. And that's, it's obviously been derailed by the injury, and you can't blame him for that. But, they played 6 games or 7 games with him, and they didn't know what to do with him, or they didn't execute it the way they wanted to. Right. Whatever you want to say, but they didn't do it.
I think what has to be factored in, though, is that this offense changed a bit when they got Amari Cooper, and he hasn't been a part of that. So now, not only did they not really find a great role for him before he got hurt, but now they're having to almost start over to some degree because the offense is a little different now that you have Cooper out there. So how do you work him in to that? So that's going to be a whole different thing, and that's why, at this point, the way I look at it is find a few gadgets for him every game. Like I said before, the results are really what you would expect that are going to fly. Like, if they can get him back and they start using him kind of sparingly, I still have no doubt that at some point, if they can go deeper in the playoffs, at some point he'll make a play for them that's going to win him a game, right? I think he can do that. He has that ability. And that's the thing about a player like him. You can't come in expecting he's going to be an every week great producer. Like, that's not what his role is. His role will be he's going to have those little gadget plays and those gadget roles, and that means sometimes he'll hit, other times not so much. But the defense will be paying attention is the hope. Will be paying attention to him is your hope.
At this point, do you think that defenses, let's talk Seattle because that's who we're facing next, do you think Seattle is consider him as a player that would be a threat to them?
In certain situations, yes. I think in certain situations.
So it's to a point that they kind of have implanted that in other teams to where, okay, yes, he is a threat. Or they see him as just somebody else that they could take out easily.
Let's not use the word threat in the way you say threat.
Okay.
It's almost like,
I don't want to call him a threat.
like
he's on the team.
Yeah, it's
sure.
not like, I don't know if DEFCON 5 is better than DEFCON 4, but it's not that. But I do think it's something that an opposing defense is aware. If he is running across the field in motion, they're aware of him. No doubt about it, they're aware of him. And that could create just that little bit.
Just aware.
Maybe not. But the point is, if they're aware, then that means that may give you that beat where the linebacker has to hold. That creates a hole on the other side for you to hand off to Zeke. So my point is, he doesn't have to have great numbers every week. His ability to be on the field and what he does well, which is use his speed, that can give you some advantages in certain situations because teams have to be aware of him.
But that's the whole reason that I thought he could really have a nice year here. And I'm not trying to kill him because he's been hurt, and that's not his fault. But it has not materialized. And the fact that he's on the injury report again right now does not give me any confidence whatsoever that it will materialize in the playoff game. So,
yeah,
did not expect to spend that much time.
I know.
Well, it's a good nugget, though. It's a good nugget.
Yeah. So
Nuggets are good.
Nuggets are good.
Nuggets are good. All right, let's take our first break. When we come back, let's dive in real quick on the other guys that are injured and see where they were at today as far as limited and their level of participation at practice. And then we'll dive into the Seattle offense and see what they got going on right now.
If you're like me and you love... if you have a thing, then cutting the cord is scary. But then I found out I could switch to DirecTV Now and still get the live sports I love. No satellite needed, no bulky hardware, no annual contract, just...
Get the live sports you love. Try DirecTV Now for $10 a month for 3 months. Visit DirecTVNow.com. DirecTV Now. More for your thing. That's our thing. Use code REALDEAL. Limited time. Price for little package. After 3 months, renews monthly at full price. Currently minimum $40 unless canceled. Prices may change. New subscribers only. Cancel anytime. Content varies by package and may be limited. Restrictions apply.
Do you want the most interesting, up-to-the-minute Dallas Cowboys news straight from the Star in Frisco? How about exclusive and on command? That's right. News and nuggets you can't find anywhere else. With our exclusive Cowboys content on Alexa, you can have all the answers, secrets, stories, and more. What's Stephen Jones thinking during a game? What's Joe Looney's favorite pregame meal? We take your questions to Cowboys players and coaches, and you can hear the answers directly back to you. Just say, Alexa, open Dallas Cowboys.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized Intense Therapy lip balm and a Cowboys can cooler. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
While a player can look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
Back to the break.
We are back. Welcome back to the second segment of the break. Several guys that have been on the injury report showed up as limited yesterday, which is a good sign as far as Zach Martin. You got Tyrone Crawford as well, Tyron Smith. I think it's not any different today than what it was yesterday. If anything, it would be better. But the only other guy with the big question mark around it is Xavier Su'a-Filo, who hurt his ankle in the game against the Giants. And at this point, still hasn't practiced. And it doesn't look like it's going to be any different, and probably most likely would not play this weekend.
I think you're getting way too ahead.
You don't think so?
No, it's Wednesday. I mean, it is Wednesday, and it's still, and they play on Saturday. I get it, but I still think that he could come back and play in this game. I don't know that for sure, but I mean, let's just see how they listed him today. He wasn't out there when we saw him. But I think there's going to be a big difference between him and Connor Williams. I think they'll try to get him to play. He needs to play. Yeah, he needs to play.
And just to be clear, Garrett said in his press conference that he is moving around better. What that means, who knows? He said he's not ready to practice, but he says he's moving around better. We'll see how that progresses over the next couple days. But I agree with you, Nick. I think he needs to play. I would be a little bit worried if Connor's out there, just because I just think that right now Connor he needs more strength. His technique isn't great, and we saw it. I don't know how many of you guys have seen that video that's circulating on Twitter. I was telling you guys about it in the break, but on one of the sacks last week, the defender just basically ripped him to the ground.
Ripped who to the
Connor?
Okay, because you said Su'a-Filo.
No,
in the
I was
break.
meaning Connor. I'm sorry.
Gotcha.
Yeah, just kind of grabbed. They kind of connected, and then he just basically just ripped him to the ground. And it was just, it's one of those situations where the offensive lineman gets overextended, his balance is off, and then the defender just basically uses that against him, rips him down, and then he's off to the quarterback. And again, it just underscored to me that Connor's just not there yet. Mm-hmm. And that doesn't mean he can't get there. I think it's the reason why Su'a-Filo took the job when he got hurt and didn't give it back, is because I think they probably see the same thing, that Connor's just not there yet.
Yeah, but I'm torn how I feel about this, because we've seen this before. Xavier hurt his ankle in what would that have been, the Saints game? And
it's the same ankle.
He played.
So
played against the Eagles here at AT&T, and he wasn't good.
A little shaky.
He struggled. And, I mean, obviously, you're an offensive lineman. Like, you need to be able to plant your feet, and if your ankle is sprained, that's probably going to be pretty difficult. So I don't know. And I agree with I agree with what you're saying, that starting Connor Williams in this game is not my ideal scenario, but a fully healthy Connor who needs more power and technique, or a guy who can't plant on his foot.
No, don't get me wrong.
I'm
not saying I want to see Xavier out there hobbled. Like, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is my hope is that he's actually capable of playing. And then you put him out there, because I think he is better. I think he's sizably better right now than what Connor is when he's healthy. Now, he's not going to be 100%, but what's that range where he can still be effective even if he's not healthy? That's where I want to hopefully get him.
This is one of those, we talk about with Tyrone Smith all the time. He's like, well, he doesn't need to practice. Like, he just plug him in. If he can go, he can go. I'm not sold that Xavier Su'a-Filo is that guy. Like, not practicing all week, being hobbled. I don't want to say you get rusty, because I think it takes more than a week for that to happen, but just you need the practice time. Connor's getting the practice time. Connor's not hurt. Again, I'm not trying to sell this as some ideal scenario, but I do think this is a genuine question where what's the better option? I kind of lean toward the healthy guy, maybe.
We go back to that game against Philadelphia on the road, the first game he played, if I remember correctly, he did not even take all the reps that week. It was him and Redmond. They were back and forth with it, which one was it going to be. And then very end of the week, it was like, all right, this is going to be Su'a-Filo, and he played really well in that game. And so I kind of think he can kind of come back. I think personally he will want to play. I know everyone says that, but like, this is a big deal for him, as well. I mean, he was a high draft pick. He was cut. He's trying to resurrect his career. He really needs to play in this game. So I think he will definitely try. I don't think there's anything wrong with playing him, starting him in the game, and then if it just doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean,
and it seemed like at one point, I don't know if you guys thought the same thing, when he got hurt over there, it seemed as if he was ready to go back in at one point, that he might go back into the game, and they didn't put him back. But it looked that way. He was standing around kind of off on the sideline. And I mean, that's the impression that it gave me. And then seeing the report that he hasn't done anything yet.
All right, let's go back to what we talked about in the last segment. So let's say Su'a-Filo, he can play. He looks like he's ready to go. We'll see. He's a little gimpy. He's not 100%, but I think he can play. Do you want to start him? I think the Cowboys would probably say yes. We need to make sure Redmond is active, because we need to make sure Connor is ready.
Yeah.
That goes back to what you just said about who's your luxury player here. Luxury player is Tavon Austin. You can Beasley can return the punts, and someone else can get his 3 snaps on offense. So
totally possible.
So that could be your luxury guy. And Sean Lee can still play.
With the way that they have utilized Tavon Austin, or lack thereof, I'd rather have all hands on deck on my gimpy offensive line than the 5 snaps that Tavon's going to give.
Could defensive line also be another area where you would look at that? I mean, assuming you got Crawford back.
Well, that's the thing. And he said yesterday, and it's a good segue there, because Tyrone did talk for the first time since the injury, and I think the word scary or scare was mentioned 46 times, 47 maybe. I mean,
as it should be.
As it should be. Yeah. And so they asked him, one of the reporters asked him, do you think that you're okay to come back and play? You think they would have you out there if you could risk further injury? And you could just tell he was thinking like, I think I'm okay. I guess the trainers wouldn't have me out there, right? And it was
right.
Yeah, it was like, so
give me some confirmation, make me feel good.
Right. He's like, no, I know the trainers wouldn't have me out there.
I'm good. I'm good, guys.
Yeah. It's always important, I think, to stop and take perspective of how insane football is, because they had to take his face mask off and immobilize him and take him to the hospital 10 days ago. And now we're talking about whether he can play another game.
I thought it was interesting that
that's crazy.
He said the moment he thought it was really bad was when the offensive lineman for the Bucs asked him, "Dude, are you okay?" And he's like, "That's when I kind of really got scared, because I like they don't ever do that. Players don't ever say."
He said
especially opposing players.
He said the other guy heard whatever popped in his neck.
Yeah,
which that's terrifying. Yeah, exactly.
I know you kind of pop your neck sometimes. Was it that, or was it like bone crunching?
I wasn't there. I don't know, but
you weren't in the trenches there?
I was not down on the field.
If someone could hear that with all the loud noises around.
Yeah, and that's you hear me crack my neck in a quiet office, not in the stadium with 90,000 people. So
there's a lot of other stuff being
90,000,
85. I mean,
last week.
It was two.
$2.
Oh, 2 weeks.
How many?
Yeah,
What?
2 weeks ago, yeah, 2
How many people do you think were there? It
Hold
was,
on.
You're right.
It was a sellout.
It was a sellout.
92,000.
I was thinking last week. I'm sorry. I was thinking last
Yeah.
week, and that was not a sellout.
77,000 at that.
Yeah.
It wasn't a bad crowd at New York.
No, it was pretty good, especially the upper level.
I actually give the Giants fans credit.
The Cowboys fans?
Well, the Cowboys fans were there too.
It was half and half.
There's a lot of them.
Giants fans there. I mean,
It was. Somebody got some Christmas presents.
I think you probably want to keep all hands on deck on your defensive line too. How confident do you feel about Tyrone? I don't know.
That's the thing about like those kind of injuries, though. I don't look at that as that. To me, is more about if he's ready. It's not, I don't think that's something where it's like
not soft
you get into the game. Yes, you get into the game and all of a sudden it starts acting up.
Right.
Like your neck doesn't start acting up. It's either healthy or it's not. And if it's not, then he's not.
well, he said, I'm definitely going to feel it, so I just got to play through it. But it's better than he thought it would be. I just think that games like that, your luxury players are not going to be. You don't have time for them. You don't have the space. So Tavon maybe won't be active. Maybe Sean Lee's not active in this game.
It's possible. It's definitely possible.
Oh, no.
No, it just breaks my heart, Sean.
Yeah, I mean,
playoff game, you kind of want him out there.
No, I think he'll be active.
Yeah, I do too.
Good.
I do too.
But you probably have that conversation like, is he giving us special team snaps? What's going on? I mean, yeah. So.
Hey, if you told Sean Lee, I need you to run down on a kickoff, he'd be like, "Which?"
I'm in.
Yeah, no, that's a good
Want me
point.
to kick?
That's a good point.
Good point. He would. He absolutely would. I don't know how good he'd be at it, but he'd give it everything he's got.
True.
So,
Yep.
Let's go ahead and take an early break now so that we get your report uninterrupted
Okay.
about the Seahawks offense when we come back.
While a player can look good on paper, it's when he's out on the field that you really find out what he's made of. That's why the Cowboys rely on more than just stats and scouting reports when building their team. When picking a tractor, it's why you should rely on more than just specs and features. You've got to take it out and put it to the test. The Cowboys did when they named John Deere their official tractor. Experience one for yourself. Visit myjohndeeredealer.com/football.
It's time for Tailgate with the OtterBox boys.
OtterBox, the makers of those crazy protective phone cases?
The one and only. They're also wild about protecting parking lot parties from sad drinks. It's why they made elevation tumblers.
Rumor around the crock pot is they're made from stainless steel with a copper lining to keep temps hot or cold.
True, they even come in 7 different sizes, up to 64 ounce, the growler.
I like how OtterBox drinks. I mean, thanks.
And that's been Tailgating with the OtterBox boys. Check out all the colors and sizes of their elevation tumblers at otterbox.com.
Want to use what the pros use? How about the official men's skincare brand of the Dallas Cowboys, Jack Black? Right now, you can get the Jack Black Playmaker, a curated collection of Cowboys locker room favorites for just $10 with free shipping. The Playmaker includes 4 Jack Black skincare favorites, plus a full-sized Intense Therapy lip balm and a Cowboys can cooler. Go to getjackblack.com/Cowboys and use the code word Cowboys. The Jack Black Playmaker, $10, free shipping.
Star Sports Tours is the only official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, offering exclusive game weekend travel packages with sideline access and photo ops with current players, alumni, and cheerleaders. That's not all, though. You'll get to talk X's and O's with Senior Director of Player Personnel Will McClay, and of course with yours truly, me, Brian Broaddus. You can trust the official fan travel partner of the Dallas Cowboys, and with us, you'll travel like a pro. Visit cowboystravel.com to book your travel package today.
A man's Stetson doesn't just protect him from life's elements. It projects an unstoppable and legendary spirit, just like the men wearing silver and navy on the field every Sunday. Since 1865, Stetson hats are American-made with pride right here in Texas. They are still the official crown of all self-respecting Cowboys. And Stetson is proud to be on the field with America's team. Find Stetson hats in the Pro Shop or at Stetson.com today.
Back to the break.
All right, I'm gonna have everyone help me with this Tommy John read. Just one word. I just need one word from each of you. One word to describe Tommy John, and I'm gonna go with you first because it's they have it men's and women's. So one word to describe Tommy John. Go.
Soft.
Comfortable.
He's comfortable. Commando.
Commando.
Feels like you're commando.
Feels like you're.
Got it. Okay.
Okay, I like it. Soft.
Taco.
Taco.
Okay. Oh man, can't. That's wow, inappropriate. Soft.
Finish it.
Soft. Commando. It feels like Commando because it's so soft.
Because it's so soft and
because
it's just
of that,
so light. It's like the material is really light.
TommyJohn.com/Cowboys. Get 20% off your first order. Soft, Commando-like, and comfortable.
Boom.
It is a Tommy John day. Let's go, baby.
All right. Thank you, Nick. Thank you, Derek. Dave. Now I want to hear about the Seattle offense and how different they are at this time of the year compared to last time the Cowboys saw them.
Y'all remember when we sat here in September and I was like, I don't know why I don't give the ball to Chris Carson. Like, that guy is really good. Well, I mean, I'm not trying to say that they listen to the break, but I mean, they got a heavy dose of Chris Carson in that first game, and then the Seahawks were like, we're just going to keep doing that. Because he had 13 combined carries in the first 2 games of this season.
13 stinks.
He finished the season with 247 carries. Still about 50 behind Zeke, but he's been averaging 20 carries per game since he basically took over the starting job.
He was top 5 in rushing this year, or was top 10?
Definitely top 10.
I know at one point he was top 5. I don't know if he still is, but
he's at 1,151 yards, so he's up there. He has had a nice season, and I think the world of Russell Wilson. I would have voted for him for MVP if I had a vote last year. But, like, really, this whole thing is about Chris Carson and the Seattle run game. And to be fair, they have a committee. Mike Davis is a name you need to know. He's their number 2. That's his first name, right? Yes, Mike Davis. Sorry.
North Carolina.
Mike Davis, 112 attempts. He's at 500 yards. Rashad Penny, the first-round pick, is at 400 yards. Russell Wilson has 400 as well. So, I mean, they have a committee. But Chris Carson is the dude. He's the closest thing they've had to Marshawn Lynch since they had Marshawn Lynch. He is a tough, physical son of a gun, and he sets up everything else that they want to do. Like, he never goes down on first contact. He never goes anywhere but forward. He's a tough son of a bee, and he sets up the play action. He sets up everything Russell Wilson wants to do. So for my money, as good as Russell Wilson is, it's all about slowing that down, which is going to be easier said than done. They're first in the league at 160 rushing yards per game. And much like last time, I think that's what they're just going to stubbornly commit to that run. And
all right, so let me ask you this.
Yeah.
That being said, what gives you confidence, or do you have no confidence, based on what you saw the Cowboys do, particularly in Indianapolis, that the Cowboys will right that and not end up in a situation where, again, against a power running team, they don't get eaten up?
Which, that Indy game is so weird because, I mean, they just looked lost. Like, and we've seen teams run on them. The Seahawks ran for 110 yards on 40 carries.
Right.
Then that's so.
I think
Carson averaged 2.8 yards per carry in this last game.
You know, I think
that's what makes the Indy game so weird.
I think the Colts are very unique in the sense that I think because of the offense is structured, I think they pass to run. I really believe that the way that Luck gets those guys open, the passing game opens up a little bit more running game for them. Maybe you could say that Brady does the same in New England. And most teams aren't that way. Most teams run the ball so they can set things up, play action and all that. I think it's different with them. And so therefore I think it's a tough matchup, you know, for some teams. And the Cowboys were really caught off guard. I don't think they'll be they'll have a hard time getting – I don't think they'll get gashed like they did in that game.
I think it's worth pointing out the Seahawks do not have the Colts offensive line. Like Quentin Nelson.
That is a big point.
He's not going to win Rookie of the Year. He should absolutely be in consideration. Braden Smith is really good as well. Like their offense, I mean, Andrew Luck has only been sacked like 14 times this year or whatever the number is. This is not that. Yeah. This offensive line, literally from week 16 to week 17, they shuffled the lineup. Like not because somebody was hurt, but just because they're not performing the way they would prefer. Jermaine Ifedi, he was the offensive lineman drafted in the whole Paxton Lynch situation a couple years ago. They drafted him as a tackle, and he played guard. He played right guard this past week.
But their offensive line is not – there were a couple years there a few years ago where their offensive line was just horrible. It's not that.
It's certainly better than it has been. Like Chris Carson's an 1,100-yard rusher, and Russell Wilson has had more time, but they're not amazing, like by any means. So between Leighton Vander Esch and Jalen Smith, and then I think Antoine Woods and Malik Collins will have a much better day. that is what gives me hope. Is I think it's a better matchup for the front seven against this line than it was in Indianapolis.
It sounds like what you're saying is very similar to what the Cowboys experienced against this team. It's not that the offensive line, it's not that this running game just completely gashes you. It is that they consistently stick to it. And over time with volume, they kind of wear you down a bit.
They can gash you though if you're not on your screws, which I like Chris Carson a lot. He's fun to watch. He's got two of the goofiest, awesomest plays of the season. Like week 2 against Denver, he literally leapt over. Zeke, remember what Zeke did in Philly? He did it better because he leapt over a guy who was standing upright and kept running. And then in Carolina a month and a half ago, he got flipped upside down.
I saw that.
Landed on his hand. And he's a fun player to watch. And he's a guy you got to account for. And then obviously Russell Wilson he's such a freelancer, and that's the bummer. Is he's one of those guys where you can do everything right and still get burned, and that's something they're going to have to watch out for. Easier said than done. It's a cliche at this point with mobile quarterbacks, but you have to keep them in the pocket, and that's the Seahawks. I was talking about this with Brian this morning. This is what I want to see Dak Prescott do. This is the scheme that I want for Dak, and I hope the Cowboys can tailor an offense that's more suited for him, because Russell Wilson, he's a great quarterback. He can pass from the pocket. He's very accurate. They don't ask him to do it that much. They really don't. They have a lot of read option concepts. They run most of their running game from the shotgun. He's always a threat to take the ball, and that's something they got to watch out for in this game. But they move the pocket. He rolls out. He does play action. He does all the same stuff with bootlegs and waggles that Dak does. He's constantly on the move because he's better that way. The best throw of Dak's year was the one to Beasley the other day, right? What was he doing? He was drifting. That's Wilson drifts. And if you don't keep him contained, he'll kill you, because that's how he's great throwing the ball, and he can also run. So good luck, Cowboys defensive ends, but you just got to
give me a
keep
quick
him contained.
refresher of what the Cowboys D-line was able to do against him last time they faced him.
I don't have he was honestly not amazing in that game. He made the throws that he needed to. The backbreaker was the 52-yarder to Tyler Lockett. He slipped right in between Kayvon and Cheeto.
His stats: 16 of 26, 192, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Running the ball, he was 2 for -1, so he didn't really run.
Yeah.
Which
game? I do remember that was the game that I think Heath was out for a little bit. Kayvon had to come in and play, and they found Lockett for a 52-yard touchdown.
They picked on him immediately.
Going in, I was looking back at some of the snap counts and see if how different some of both teams are. Van Der Esch only played 33 snaps in that game.
It was the game Lee got hurt in initially.
Now, he did play well. I remember that's the first time we were like, wow, Van Der Esch is actually playing really well. And other than those first 2 games where he wasn't starting, and then he didn't start against the Redskins, up there. But since he's taken over, he's getting 50, 55, 58 snaps a game. So this that's the one thing that's different about what the Cowboys are doing is Van Der Esch is playing better. He's going to be on the field a lot more. But that D-line rotation was pretty much the same.
It's encouraging. He carried 2 times for -1. That's encouraging to think that they can keep him contained, and they did it in that instance. And to bring it back to Dak, the other thing that is really encouraging for me, people want to hate on Dak because they don't throw the ball that well. That's his average for the season. Seattle's averaging 193 passing yards per game. Because again, Russell Wilson's a stud. He would play it at an MVP level last year, but he is taking a backseat to this running game because that's what they want. That's what they're good at. That's what they want to do. That's how they won those Super Bowls on offense. Set up the run and let everything else flow through that. And Russ just reliably makes the plays that he has to when he needs to.
And he's even better like that because he doesn't have to do it the whole game. He just has those moments when if he catches you, he's going to hit you for a big play, and that's usually the winner.
This is what I want to see Dak Prescott doing. I think he'd be really good at it.
Yeah, I agree.
I'd like to see what are the Seahawks ranking in rushing yard?
160 per game, best in the league.
First, okay, I was going to say because to have 3 other players at 400 yards with a 1,100 yard back. I mean, that's amazing. I mean, Zeke's sitting here at 1,400, led the league, but the next guy is Dak at 300, and then you got Rod Smith at 127, and Heath has yards. I mean,
goofy fun stat that the goofy stat du jour last year was that Russ was the only player on the Seahawks that had a rushing touchdown. They didn't have a running back. They have 15 rushing touchdowns this year, which is actually more than Dallas. And Russell Wilson has none. They're all running backs. So they committed to fixing that, and they've done a good job of it. Another thing that I think is worth pointing out, where was it?
This dead air is gonna
get
me to
help me
throw
bail me out.
I hate this stat, and I look at it a lot now. Opponent penalty yards. I don't know why this is a big deal. The Cowboys, when they're playing, the teams that they're playing get called for 681 penalty yards. Seattle 981 yards.
Teams that are playing against them get that many.
And I really think all year long, every time I look at that stat, it's always very higher for the other team, which makes me think now, and I'm not getting into this, the league hates the Cowboys type stuff, but I'm just saying they're way under the league average on getting calls or whatever. I mean, we saw a game this year where Philadelphia was called 0 times and lost at home. That's hard to do. So and I know it was brought to our attention today. We were just talking about who the officiating crew is, and it's the same guy that did the Romo bubble snap game. Wonderful. Broadus will talk about officials.
Do we want to even bring up that it's like 10? What is it? 12 years to the weekend since the Romo game.
Almost the day. Yeah.
And one day, if they'd played Sunday, it would have been to the day. Which is
I thought CBS might try to bring Romo back for that game.
Oh God. Romo was probably like, no.
Yeah, he's like,
no,
not doing it.
No, thanks.
Oh, I'll
move beyond it.
Here's my dumb stat. Dak has actually carried the ball more times than Russell Wilson has. Like, that is just not something that I would think. But Russ averages 2 more yards per attempt. I think Russ is a little bit quicker. Like, he's faster than Dak is. But I still think there's a way to utilize Dak better in the running game. And that's, I mean, a lot of stuff Russ does is improvised, and some of Dak's best stuff is improvised. But he can just hurt you so bad. You know, if you got to finish him off, because if you get there and he gets away from you, then that's 11 on 10, and he's running for 18 yards. And he does it in every single game, apparently, except for the Dallas game, which good. I hope they can do that again. Because that's, like I said, you can do everything right, and he'll still kill you, which is a bummer. Arizona blitzed him a lot. They sacked him 6 times just 4 days ago. So something to consider. We know that Rod Marinelli doesn't really like to blitz, but maybe in the interest of getting him on the ground, they'll consider it.
Now, as far as turnovers go, we've known how this defense has had to carry the Cowboys offense throughout the whole year. Is this something that you're seeing? What?
I'm glad thank you for reminding me. They've only turned the ball over 10 times this year.
Seattle.
Best in the league.
Wow.
So anything's possible, but like, I'm not going into this game banking that the defense is going to steal a possession for you. So, and that's big.
Yeah.
That's really big. So if they can, great. But like, this is a tough team to get the ball from. Russ doesn't throw a lot. He threw a pick against Arizona, ironically, but he hasn't thrown a lot.
I didn't realize he was doing that good.
Because he's not having to carry everything the way he did last year. So like, he's having a really good season, but he's got other people to help him out.
But the thing to consider here too is Cowboys have played really good defense this year and won some games for this team without necessarily having a lot of turnovers. Like, they're not at the top of the league when it comes to turnovers. So I don't know that turnovers are how the Cowboys defense have to do it. Like, the way I look at it is this defense is about making stops and holding teams instead of getting touchdowns to field goals. That's what makes them really good.
They haven't lived on getting turnovers all year, so that's fine. One of the things, obviously, the offense played terrible in that game up in Seattle, but they gave up a 52-yard touchdown, which has not been their MO. Right. And so 24-13, and one of their touchdowns was defensive, was it not? Didn't Earl score?
What, this game?
No, in week 3.
He had 2 turnovers, right? But I don't think he scored.
Oh, but he set them up like in the red zone. Yeah. But you can't give up the backbreaking. You got to play your red zone game. That's what they've done all year.
And we'll talk about the defense tomorrow, but I think that's where I'm interested to see, because without Earl, and I think there's another safety they just put on IR, we'll talk a lot about that defense and what that defense looks like and what it even looks like over the last couple weeks after they've maybe lost a player or two. But
yeah, so make sure to tune in tomorrow and kind of get a full scouting report and a good feeling of what this Seattle is bringing to AT&T. And we'll see you tomorrow for, what's your name?
Bye.
Nick Eamon.
Bye.
Bye. Nick Eamon, Derek Eagleton, David Hellman, Amber Garcia. We'll be back tomorrow. This has been The Break on DallasCowboys.com radio.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!